landmark valor in Ladakh. The operation behind LAC domination. How India controls crucial heights. How China was caught off guard. First time on Indian television, decoding Indian Army's top secret Operation Snow Leopard. Has the Indian Army succeeded in checkmating China in its own game at the line of actual control? India Today, over the course of the next half hour, will get you details of the Army's top secret Operation Snow Leopard, a multi-pronged offensive along the line of actual control to ensure India was on dominating heights to checkmate China in this game of nibble and negotiate. I'll get you those details, but as always on India First, let's get started. For months, India waited very patiently for China to go back and for restoration of status quo ante along the line of actual control. But with each passing meeting, India Today has learned that the Chinese arrogance only increased in these meetings. India realized that to have a better hand at the negotiations, India would need to take some very crucial steps. The army chief, the army commander, the corps commander, division commanders, we are told right down to the company commander, everyone was on the same page as Indian Army drew out Operation Snow Leopard to take in control crucial heights along the line of actual control, which may have tactical advantages initially, but strategic implications. This is an India Today exclusive.
Things have significantly changed at the line of actual control in Ladakh since the Indian Army's preemptive actions from August the 29th. And now with China dilly-dallying over the restoration of status quo ante at the line of actual control, India Today tells you about how a top-secret plan to create a quid pro quo situation was actually achieved. The government cleared this secret plan to take strategic heights along the line of actual control to prevent the Chinese from occupying them late in August and to give the country an advantage at the negotiation table. And we now know that the operation was codenamed Snow Leopard. The army on the ground drew out a meticulous and detailed plan late in August to capture heights that would give the army a tactical advantage on the ground and a strategic advantage in negotiations.
It is a detailed planning, almost about 2 months of planning. And when you say planning, it is a selection of troops, selection of weapon, their rehearsal, identifying the area, and then meticulous execution. It is each and every detail because in any operation there are no runner-ups.
The army identified peaks on either side of the Pangong Tso and also at Galwan, Gogra and other friction points. Specialist high-altitude warfare soldiers were drawn, and as China engaged India in dialogue, the Indian teams planned to occupy strategic heights. Each peak was war-gamed and a time was set for multiple simultaneous operations.
The army initially waited for China to go back across the line of actual control and the restoration of the LAC and status quo ante. But when China did not do that, India realized that India will have to take effective countermeasures. From the Chief of the Army Staff, General M.M. Naravne, at the Army headquarters, to General Y.K. Joshi, the Army commander, the corps commander, the div commanders, several brigade commanders, and even company commanders on ground had to be on the same page for meticulous planning and flawless execution of Operation Snow Leopard.
On the nights of August the 29th and 30th, the teams were launched near simultaneously as inputs indicated that the Chinese were planning another transgression south of Pangong So. Operation Snow Leopard was underway.
I would say that the preemptive operations which are done on the 29th August, both south bank of Pangong So, north bank of Pangong So and other areas to dominate the area of LAC, they were done with precision. In fact, I would say the very planning, the move, the speed of operation and the boldness with which they're done is a classic example. And it's a competition with the other side because Indian Army do not trust the Chinese, and therefore it was important that it has to be done with precision and boldness.
It was a race against time, and before the Chinese could react, as part of Operation Snow Leopard, the army had taken control of strategic heights overlooking the Chinese defences, not just on either side of Pangong So, but also at other friction points, and also increased deployment in the Depsang plains to protect northern Ladakh. You've been hearing about the reports for over 2 weeks now, and now we tell you that it has a name: Operation Snow Leopard.
Does this mean that China will now escalate the situation at the LAC between October and November like it did in 1962? Or has Indian Army seen through China's game, deployed soldiers not just on dominating heights, but also as part of Operation Snow Leopard, ensured that our boys are effectively looked after in terms of that supply chain, the logistics chain? One thing is very clear. The army is now deployed at the line of actual control for the long haul, and Operation Snow Leopard has many more. Indian Army has many more aces up their sleeve. With cameraman Kripal Singh in Ladakh, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. Join me on the broadcast, the finest team of reporters on ground. Abhishek Bhalla, editor Defence, Geeta Mohana, Foreign Affairs editor. Also with us is Lieutenant General Syed Atta Hasnain. General Hasnain commanded the Srinagar Corps. He's commanded his battalion here at Tangse and at Pangong So. General Hasnain, your appreciation of Operation Snow Leopard and its impact on ground.
Firstly, Gaurav, my compliments to the Indian Army and compliments particularly on Operation Snow Leopard. The choice of the name, the title is most appropriate. Having said that, there's no doubt about it that I was always expecting that once a degree of strategic balance had been achieved, let me call it operational balance, had been achieved on ground by the induction of additional troops, that a step forward would have to be taken by the Indian Army because negotiations were not leading anywhere. The Indian Army is quite adept at this. It practices every year all along these deployment areas what is called operational alert. And as a part of that operational alert, every time it reviews its plans. It looks at the aim of certain operations, potential operations, the resources which are available, outlined plans. There's briefings done for that. For every such plan, there is contingency plans. There are fire plans. The amount of artillery which has to be made available. All this is studied intensely. So it is not anything new which has happened. What the army has done is reviewed its plans completely, chosen the right plan, the right timing, and with the degree of operational balance is gone in for it and achieved, I think, a stupendous result, which the outcome of which we are still seeing on ground.
Oh, absolutely. The outcome of it is still to be seen on ground. There's breaking news coming in, and this is a very strong statement that's come in from the Indian Army. The Indian Army gave details of logistics or operational logistics in place in Ladakh. Remember, within a month or so, passes will be cut off, they'll be snowbound. And is that an opportunity that China may be looking for to strike like it did in October 1962? But I want to read out what the army has said, and one very significant aspect of it. The army says it wants peace, it does not want hostilities. However, and I quote, if China creates conditions for war, they will come across a better trained, better prepared, rested and psychologically hardened Indian troops. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Abhishek Bhalla for more on the story. Abhishek, in Ladakh, you've been reporting extensively on Army's logistics, deployment and preparedness, but help us make sense of this very strong statement that comes from the Army.
Gaurav, as far as the Army is concerned, why it feels that it has an edge when it comes to the psychological aspect of this battle, because the Indian Army is deployed 12 months in a year, each and every day in Siachen, and the situation is exactly the same. Yes, there is an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation in eastern Ladakh, which does not happen perhaps in Siachen, but the Army believes it has the wherewithal, it has the logistics to sustain for an enhanced deployment. We are matching a 50,000 deployment that the Chinese have done, and everything has been already taken care of. Sources tell me that the Indian Army is in a position to ensure that all the supplies, all the logistics that they already have in reserves can cater for another year. So it's very clear that it's not just the winter that everybody's talking about. It's not just 2, 3, 4 months, but it's much longer than that. Officials are saying that, remember...
Very interesting you say that it's for 1 year. Let me quickly bring in General Hasnain for more on this. General Hasnain, China attacked India in October 1962. That's when passes were closing down. Replenishments or additional supplies could not come in. Is China looking at a similar window this year in your appreciation? Also the fact, General, that we may be on commanding heights. Are Chinese in an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation, and does that indicate that India does not enjoy the kind of tactical advantage we may require to be on top of heights if the Chinese are also in an eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation?
Very, very pertinent questions, Gaurav. The first question on the aspect of this window till November. No doubt, the Chinese attacked in 20th of October 1962. 58 years have passed since then. So much has happened as far as the infrastructure and capability development is concerned. I have been a part of Northern Command for the better part of 20 years, and I know Northern Command's operational logistics philosophy. I know the kind of periods for which they actually carry out their dumping and their self-containment. So I have no doubt about it that there's enough stocks for a year or more. We've inducted the troops there, we have got enough fuel, we've got enough other resources which are there to sustain us if the Chinese decide to do something in this window of a period. When it comes to eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation, just remember, we've got the same situation on the line of control. And we have no hesitation, let me tell you. We have a concept. We have studied these concepts very deeply. I don't want to name those concepts. Those concepts are very clear in the mind, tactically in the minds of our officers and our men. And eyeball-to-eyeball contacts don't worry us. We are capable of using our artillery, we are capable of using our special forces, and we are capable of using all other firepower and infantry resources to achieve our aims when we are ordered to do so.
Fair enough, General. Stay with me. There's more breaking news coming in. And this is big. India has summoned the Chinese envoy. The Ministry of External Affairs has summoned the Chinese envoy on the alleged snooping controversy. The Chinese envoy was asked to come and explain the situation in terms of these reports of certain Chinese firms being involved in data collection and data mining. The Chinese ambassador was summoned, where the government was deeply concerned with reports that seemed to indicate that foreign sources were accessing or seeking to access personal data of Indian citizens and not just top government officials and political leaders. India takes this very seriously, I'm told. I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, for more on the story. Geeta, take us through what happened, and does this indicate a hardening of India's stance, even diplomatically, at every level?
Well, with with reports coming in that there is snooping at such a level where so many prominent Indians are being spied upon by a private company. The Indian government did raise concerns. The concerns were raised with the Chinese envoy. This after a lot of opposition leaders seeking and asking for what the government has done so far with regards to the snooping reports that have come in. Now, the government has done two things. One, raise the matter with the Chinese envoy. We do not know whether it was physical or virtual, but yes, the Chinese government and Chinese envoy was called out in terms of the concerns that Indian government has. And secondly, a committee has been formed to study the reports under the cyber security forum. And so two very important things. One, the National Cyber Security Coordinator is going to study the reports that have been put out to see what the level of snooping by the Chinese private companies. And even as that happens, Gaurav, the Chinese government has already come out and denied such reports, saying that the private company Zhenhua is not involved in data collection but just mobilization. So again, narratives and counter narratives continue. We are seeing China again denying what has been put out, and the government of India over here has already raised concerns with regards to these reports.
Fair enough. General Hasnain, if not a shooting war at the line of actual control in 21st century, do we see psychological warfare, cyber warfare, this kind of snooping by China to undermine India? Is this the next battlefield, cyberspace or space?
Gaurav, this is a very appropriate question, especially in the context of the fact that if you don't have any major military standoff, military operations in this window till November, this whole thing is likely to elongate to the month of April, May next year, when the geopolitical situation of the world will be very different with the American election, the ending of the pandemic, etc. This period from now, September till April, May, is again a very crucial period for non-military operations, in my reckoning. This non-military operations is all about information warfare and cyber warfare. What China is doing, one has been aware of this, one knows broadly about this kind of a thing. One didn't know how deep it was involved in India. But there is no doubt that that is part of Chinese strategy. We know the three warfare strategy, cyber, media, and information is a part of it. So there's no doubt that China is going to pull out all the stops in terms of using the three strategies against India till the next 6 to 7 months.
India's countermeasures, how effective are our countermeasures is the big question. China, of course, responded to Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh's statement on the floor of Lok Sabha yesterday. Remember, Rajnath Singh completely exposed China when he spoke in detail about how China had violated every agreement between India and China from 1993 to 1996, violated protocols. And that is why we were in this situation. China tried to shift the blame on India. Geeta Mohan with this report.
चीन की तरफ से 29 और 30 अगस्त की रात को प्रोवोकेटिव सैनिक कार्रवाई की गई, जो पेंगोंग लेक के साउथ बैंक एरिया में स्टेटस को बदलने का प्रयास था। लेकिन एक बार फिर हमारी आर्म फोर्सेस द्वारा टाइमली और फर्म एक्शंस के कारण उनके प्रयास विफल कर दिए। अध्यक्ष महोदय,
Even as border tensions are heating up, a cold wintry chill has set in when it comes to bilateral ties. The blame game has begun. China, the provocator, is now accusing India of having fired the first shots. Responding to Rajnath Singh's statement in Parliament, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson says India broke the rule first, fired first, and it is up to India to take measures to de-escalate and implement five-point agenda. This is not the first time China has tried to change the narrative. That has been part of China's playbook. But a determined India won't back down.
इस सदन की गौरवशाली परंपरा रही है कि जब भी देश के समक्ष कोई बड़ी चुनौती आई है, तो इस सदन ने भारतीय सेनाओं की दृढ़ता और संकल्प के प्रति पूरी अपनी एकता और भरोसा दिखाया। साथ ही सीमा क्षेत्र में तैनात अपने बहादुर सेना के जवानों के शौर्य, पराक्रम और सीमा की सुरक्षा के प्रति उनकी प्रतिबद्धता पर पूरा इस सदन ने विश्वास व्यक्त किया है। अध्यक्ष महोदय,
Where does that leave diplomacy? Throughout the crisis, China has spoken with a forked tongue. aggression at the border coupled with diplomatic sweet talk. The 5-point consensus is just another document to keep talking. Sources say unless there is some real intent shown by Beijing, there can be no resolution.
हमारे बॉर्डर एरियाज में मौजूदा मुद्दों का हल शांतिपूर्ण बातचीत और कंसल्टेशन के जरिए किए जाने के प्रति कमिटेड है। इस उद्देश्य को पाने के लिए मैं अपने चाइनीज काउंटर पार्ट से 4 सितंबर को मॉस्को में मिला और उनसे हमारी इन डेप्थ डिस्कशन भी हुई। मैंने यह भी स्पष्ट किया कि हम इस मुद्दे को शांतिपूर्ण ढंग से हल करना चाहते हैं और हम चाहते हैं कि चीनी पक्ष हमारे साथ मिलकर काम करे। वहीं हमने यह भी स्पष्ट कर दिया कि हम भारत की सॉवरेनिटी और टेरिटोरियल इंटीग्रिटी की रक्षा के लिए पूरी तरह से डिटरमिन्ड हैं।
While India thought it is prudent to engage, the benefits of such engagement are yet to translate into peace and tranquility at the border. China's expansionist policies might be a backlash post the pandemic, but one that will have long-term impact on India-China ties since the dynamics on the ground have changed forever with gunshots being fired for the first time since 1975. With Geeta Mohan in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Geeta, what explains this delay, if there is a delay in the Corps Commanders meeting? It was last week that it was decided at the foreign ministers level that the Corps Commanders would meet. It's Wednesday night's over and they still haven't met.
Well, that's because there is an absolute disconnect, Gaurav. When you see what is happening on the ground and what is being said by China, there is clarity that there is no connect with what China's intentions really are, but the motive is absolutely suspect. We're seeing that the Chinese troops are not moving back. We're looking at the kind of statements that are coming from not just the Chinese ambassador, but also the Chinese foreign ministry. They have been continuing to blame India, calling us the provocateurs, but knowing very well what it is that they have been doing. The first gunshots were fired by them, and therefore
let me quickly put this question also to General Hasnain.
General Hasnain, two sides can actually meet to take things forward.
Okay. No, in fact, are the two sides in China on the same page? General Hasnain, in your appreciation, is the Chinese army on the same page as Wang Yi, their foreign minister?
See, Gaurav, there has been a history of this, no doubt, that we saw in 2014 also, when President Xi Jinping visited India. What is exactly happening in Ladakh at that particular time when such an important political visit was being made to India. We've seen it on other occasions also. So there is a degree, there's no doubt there's a degree of difference between the political and the military levels in China. Both don't see eye to eye and not so easy to synchronize their actions. This is one part of the explanation. The other side is also, I think on our side, there should be a certain review. A certain degree of review is required after the two meetings in Moscow. It translates because you have to give certain clarity to the Corps commander on what are the expectations and the outcomes of such a meeting. So I do think it may have taken a little time, but I'm hopeful that the meeting will take place in the near future.
We will say wait and watch. This meeting has still not happened on Wednesday. Will it happen in the next 24 or 48 hours? The Indian Army has reached out to the Chinese Army. They haven't responded. That is all I have time for on this special broadcast of India First from Ladakh. Many thanks for watching.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.